a serious problem. It raises so many issues because it says in the Constitution, if you're going to try the president, you must have the Chief Justice there. The Chief Justice tipped his hat when he said, I want nothing to do with this trial of a private U.S. citizen.
All right, that was Jordan Sekulow on Greg Kelly Reports last night, talking about trying a private citizen, in this case, former President Donald Trump, and why Chief Justice John Roberts wants no part of that. Looking ahead to today, President Trump's second impeachment trial will start this afternoon in Washington at 1 p.m. with opening statements expected tomorrow on Wednesday. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Minority Leader Mitch McConnell reached an agreement on the impeachment rules yesterday. Here to talk more about that and everything impeachment is the Executive Director of the American Center for Law, Jordan Sekulow. Jordan, good to see you again. Quickly, I do want to talk about that. I thought that was you summarized it perfectly. He tipped his hand. So the Chief Justice, John Roberts, who should be presiding over any impeachment. That is the job of the Chief Justice. He said no immediately because Donald Trump is no longer a sitting president. Why aren't more people talking about that? Why am I not reading more about that? That was Chuck Schumer called John Roberts. No one knows about this. And Roberts flatly told him, no, you can't do this to a private citizen.
Yeah, he said, I'm not going to have a part in this because this is not an impeachment of a president. And that's my only duty, is if there's an impeachment of a president, I have to be there under the Constitution. Anyone else, for any other reason, I don't. And in this case, this is not even an official. He didn't put out a statement. That's not in the Chief Justice he's not that kind of guy. But I think he did. I think he tipped his hat exactly in this situation when he, right off the bat, right at the beginning, said, I'm not playing a role in this. And what we believe is another, just a charade, a political trial to tarnish a private American. In fact, our Constitution has a prohibition against doing just that in Article 1. No bill of attainder. That might not be something that a lot of people understand what that means. It's blood libel. Right. And it was something that was legal in the UK that our founding fathers thought was horrendous and wanted to prohibit in the United States of America. So they did so in the first article of the Constitution, preventing Congress from doing that to private citizens. And this is what the Democrats are attempting to do. So it was a strong signal from Chief Justice Roberts, but unfortunately, because he won't be there, we're going to be stuck with Pat Leahy. Right, a Democrat from Vermont, which is just, I mean, how laughable is that? You're going to have a Democrat presiding over this impeachment trial. I mean, it couldn't be more biased. But by the way, in the UK, they seem to do things a lot better in a lot of respects over there. They have this thing called You Pay over there. I'm sure you know about this, but if you sue somebody and you lose, you pay their legal fees. So no one sues anybody in the UK unless you're real sure you're going to win the case. Not like in America where everybody sues everybody. I saw Bruce Castor and David Schoen, the president's attorneys, speaking yesterday about how they've been getting ready for this trial, which will start, I guess, really tomorrow. We'll hear some opening statements tomorrow. They have been watching a ton of video of Democrats recently and over the past couple of years, really over the last 4 years, giving speeches and making statements that could be construed as inciting violence. Do you expect a long video that we can all see of Democrats doing this? I think videos, tweets, like Nancy Pelosi saying the election was hijacked when it was President Trump who won. Words like fight. I mean, we use those all the time in law. We use it all the time in politics. Hey, we need to go fight for liberty, fight for our freedom. If someone takes it as an actual, some kind of message to go and punch someone, you're not going to hold me liable for that. And yet they've gone much more extreme. So I think in that second phase of the trial, which is the longer phase, the 16 hours for each side, the Democrats are going to be hammered with their own words, in their own videos. Chuck Schumer on the steps of the Supreme Court with the whirlwind, you won't know what's going to hit you, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, to lifetime appointed, confirmed Supreme Court justices, to the encouragement by Kamala Harris of the riots we saw over the summer, saying they won't come to an end, and not making the distinction between the peaceful riots, peaceful protest, and the actual riots and looting that were happening. The funding that was going to some of those groups to get people out of jail who were being arrested for rioting and causing violence. So yes, that will happen starting, I think you're right, in the second phase. Today's phase is shorter. It's 4 hours, and it's about the constitutional question. Now that's key, Rob, again, because there will be another vote today. And what I'm looking for, and what all the audience should be looking for, is do the same 45 Republicans, do they remain? Do they stay strong and say, no, we don't have the jurisdiction to even be here constitutionally? I think and that vote will occur after the 4 hours of opening today, because that's what's going to be argued today.
Do you expect? I expect that number to be up around 47, 48. Maybe Mitt Romney, maybe Susan Collins of Maine. She just won re-election up there. I think he'll have more support. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's the number I want to see. As long as it's right at 45, I'm happy with that. We get more support because they've actually heard the argument. You know, we put forward a 45-page document that's very easy for the senators and their staffs to go through yesterday. We delivered it to all the Senate staffs. We posted it publicly at aclj.org about why it's wrong to even be doing this, not even getting into the statements about what speech is legal and what speech is barred, which is barely any in the United States, and that's a good thing. But yes, so they're going to actually hear those arguments, and Democrats are going to have to, the House managers are going to have to criminalize, come up with a reason why they can impeach a person who's now living in Florida as a private citizen.
I want to play you a soundbite. This is Joe Biden talking on CBS News about the impeachment. By the way, this is the commander-in-chief, been in office for 20 days. I'm sorry, he's getting off, I believe, Marine One. But this is the commander-in-chief who probably should have called off the dogs a long time ago and said, listen, Nancy Pelosi, you made your point, but this is doing nothing but further divide America. Take a listen.
Look, we've got an offer to come and testify. He's decided not to. We'll let the Senate work that out.
He said he got an offer to come testify, and he's not going to do it. No president's ever testified in their own impeachment trial, by the way.
No, and you don't just offer to testify. And that was one of the most ridiculous statements I've seen by House managers, even comparing to what Manager Schiff was trying to do in the impeachment trial while I was on the floor of the Senate. And that is this idea that if President Trump didn't show up, it was some inference of his guilt, like he was taking the fifth in a criminal trial. In a civil trial. And this is much more like a criminal trial, and there's no inference, there's no subpoena. He doesn't need to show up, no witnesses, there's no witness list. He is the person at issue. So again, the idea that Joe Biden is encouraging that and kind of pushing this along, it's exactly the opposite of unity. This is dividing the country. The worst part of this impeachment is not for President Trump, it's for our country. President Trump's a tough guy, he's going to be acquitted, he'll move on in life. But our country will remain divided, and we have to literally relitigate all these issues once again in the public sphere. And that is something that I thought Joe Biden didn't want, but we know at the end of the day, Democrats love to keep the country divided. I
just wish the parties could police their own ranks and that the bar for impeachment, I just think, you know, speaking of the president, I think this does just that. I think this sets a really dangerous precedent moving forward. Every 4 years, we could have an impeachment. I mean, if it stays on this pace, we'll have another one in about 8 months. It's scary to think that that's the state of our country.
Yeah, well, you know, Rob, Senator Cornyn, a very level-headed guy, he said, you know what, if they move forward and this becomes the norm, why wouldn't if the Republicans take back the House and the Senate, as they're expected to potentially do in 2022, impeach Barack Obama for Fast and Furious, or for the IRS intentionally targeting conservative groups, or for lying about Benghazi. I mean, the list goes on. Are you going, or about spying on the Trump campaign? I mean, could you go through, are we going to do that as a country? Is that what impeachment is going to become? Because that's the bar they are setting, impeaching and taking the country through these trials of former presidents who are now private citizens.
Jordan, we appreciate the expertise. Thanks so much for coming on with us. We look forward to hearing from you throughout this impeachment process, which starts today at 1 in Washington. Thank you. Good to see you.
Thanks, Rob. Good to see you.
All right.